Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We really deeply apologize for the long delay, and we thank you so much for your patience. We've been having some audio and lighting technical difficulties, and we're sort of doing a makeshift approach to get this done for you. And so glad that you're with us, and we'll get through this together very quickly. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome all of you, and good morning and good afternoon. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx, webinar, and online digital platform and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting via their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the city staff, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Please use only one device at a time, as use of additional devices can cause some static or noise, which may interfere with the audio of this hearing. To ensure further audio clarity, we suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function of your telephones. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled and will only be visible during your 5 minutes allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted Committee of Adjustment staff will share a presentation submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use the share screen option or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. City staff will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the phone number that you are originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. At this time, we wish to make an important land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land that we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 and the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, 1990 as amended, this Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Nadini Sankar Peralta, and I will be chairing today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are members Nazila Atarodi West, Paul Kidd, and Natasha Manning. City staff are also present: Deputy Secretary Treasurer Simon Lam, and planning staff Alex Chu, Sam Mozayani, and Daphne Davis. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Receiving a copy of the committee decision, anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application, you must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, the TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates via email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the TLAB and, in some limited circumstances, the Ontario Land Tribunal, or the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedures are as follows. I will call each item in order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are advised to advise the chair if they still wish to speak on an item. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will ask you to summarize your remarks when you are reaching the 5-minute mark, without exception. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application only, and the agent or applicant proceeds first and makes their presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then individuals either in support or in opposition of the application will be invited to speak. If more than one individual wishes to speak to the application, we'll ask you to try not to repeat the points that others have already made. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those items that were raised by the previous speakers within a 5-minute time frame. This will mark the end of the discussion on the item, and the application will then be taken into committee for a decision. So getting started, I understand from the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes to confirm? I'm getting a nod that there are no minutes to confirm. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, I understand there's no items to close as well? Not at this time. So getting started, I'd like to ask the panel members and staff if there are any declarations of interest for items in this morning's session. Having noted none, let's proceed. So we do have a number of deferral requests, and there is one refund request which we will do at the very end of this hearing. But let's begin with the deferral requests. And in the morning session, we only have actually one for this morning, and that's item number 14. The property address is 3879 Bathurst Street. This is for a proposal for interior alterations to an existing building to create 2 basement floor bachelor units and alter existing main floor units into 2 units and create a fire escape at the rear of the building. So I do know we have an agent online. And the agent is Mr. Mustafa Khalil. Are you there?
Yeah. Good morning, Chair and Committee. Yes, my name is Mustafa Khalil, 2MK Architect. We are looking to...
If you can provide me, Mr. Khalil, with your address, please, for the record.
3461 Dixie Road, Unit 504.
Okay, and if you wouldn't mind telling, there's no one to speak to this item, but if you wouldn't mind telling us the reasons for your deferral for committee's consideration.
There is a transportation report that came just last week requesting deferral because we are required to do a traffic study and car maneuver. We were aiming to get a conditional approval for 1 year, but it seems this doesn't work, so we have to do a deferral to have enough time to do the traffic study.
Okay, thank you for that. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Khalil? There being none, can I get a motion on this deferral? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to defer this application sine die so that the applicant can have enough time to do the traffic study.
Okay, a motion has been made by Member Attarodi. Can I have someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Your deferral, Mr. Khalil, has been granted. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and so now we'll move back in order of the hearing itself, and this is item number 1. We've got item number 1, the property address is number 330 DREWRY Avenue, and this is to obtain consent to sever the property into 2 undersized residential lots to construct 2 new dwellings. I have an agent online here, Mr. Mengdi Zen.
My name is Mengdi. The address is 710 14th Avenue, postal code L3R031.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zen.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's no one else to speak to this application, but if you wouldn't mind, I want to share with the members of the committee that I do know you have a presentation. We'll give you a chance to speak to that, but we do have no objections from Toronto Region and Conservation Authority or Ravine or Natural Feature Protection. Urban Forestry does have conditions. Transportation has no conditions. Engineering and Construction Services has recommendations. And there are 3 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. But we do have an October 13th staff report recommending that the application be refused. And we've got a councillor letter from Councillor Filion who supports that request of the planning staff report. So, Mr. Zen, have you taken a chance to look at all of those reports?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, with that, would you mind giving us a presentation on this application?
Sure. If I could have my presentation put on the screen, please. So we're looking at part 1 of of our proposal, and I believe that the main concern here is the undersized lot frontage that we are proposing, and we are proposing a lot frontage of 12.73 meters, which is about 15.3% less than the zoning required, and which also triggered variance number 4, 5, and 6. And could I go to the next page, please? So you can see 4, 5, and 6 here more clearly. And variance number 2 is variance number 1 is only regarding to the dormer height back there, so which is quite a minor one. And I could make it quick then. Could I go to page? Okay, I'll skip the next couple of pages. Go to page number 7, please, which is a map that's this is the map that shows most of the reason COA approved the undersigned lot frontage here. And I believe city staff do a study within the lot around like 1 block around our property, the subject property. So I kind of extended a bit, which shows a more of a bigger picture of the area here. And within the subject property on the same street of DREWRY, number 147 at the 147 at the end of it, at Hilda Avenue. which was approved with a underside loft frontage of 12.2 meter back at 2008. And for 374 DREWRY was approved at 13.11 meter loft frontage, which is just next to us. And couple other approvals around the area. The closest one would be Fairchild here, which was approved at a 7.88 meter, which is quite a small one. And so as Herndon down the road, down at the south side, which is 10.9 meter. And my point here is, I understand that we have a underside loft frontage, but on the other hand, we have a much bigger lot area. Our lot area with the surveillance would, after the surveillance, would be 30.36 more than the city required, and which actually give us a lot area of roughly 7,700 square feet. So, which could give us a house with a GFA roughly around 4,000. So if we are going to design a house at its existing lot size of roughly 15,000 square feet, I believe I could put a house without going to the to you guys, without going through COA. I could build a house roughly around 75,000 square feet on such a lot. And this is a dense area, and that house wouldn't look good at all, though, I think.
I'll ask you to summarize, Mr. Zhang.
Sure. Okay. And yeah, that's all that I would like to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Members, do you have any questions of the applicant? There being no questions, and noting that there are no other speakers, the staff has recommended refusal. There's a councillor letter supporting the staff's recommendations. There are 3 letters of support from surrounding neighbors, and there, there's engineering conditions. That being said, can I get a motion, please, on this application? Member Attarodi.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I listened carefully to the applicant presentation and also studied the staff report. As per staff report, 83% of the properties around the surrounding area have minimum 15 or larger lot frontage, and there is only 6.7% that have less than 15, and most of them located in the cul-de-sac, which is understandable. The lots that are in the cul-de-sac have less lot frontage. Therefore, I haven't been convinced that this is something. It's not something that we would like to pass, and it's not the prevailing character of the neighborhood. Therefore, my motion will be to refuse this application.
Okay, we have a motion from Member Attarodi to refuse this application. Can I get a second for this motion? Someone to second this motion? Member Kidd has seconded this motion. All in favor? That motion unanimously is carried, Mr. Zhang. Your application has been refused. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2 on today's agenda, and we've got number 84, Chatsworth Drive. This is a proposal to construct a 2-story rear addition with a roof deck and a 1-story addition to the rear of an existing dwelling. Here today we have the agent, which is a Mike De Oliveira. Mr. De Oliveira, are you there?
Hi, good morning, committee. Yes, I'm here. I'm here representing 84 Chatsworth Drive, and I'm with Replacement Design, located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, thank you for that. We do have one more area resident who's here to speak to this application, I understand that in this application, you do have 28 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Because we have someone who is speaking to this, I'm not sure if it's in support or not, but perhaps if you can give us a brief presentation on this application.
Certainly. So I believe the neighbor that's actually registered is our neighbor to the left at 86 Chatsworth. And I believe they're just here to confirm that we're doing the changes as per our discussions leading up to the hearing. I do have a list of the changes to our variances and how our revised drawings that were submitted
Yes.
earlier in the week were
Okay,
affected.
so is it
I don't know if you want
possible?
to pull up that first?
Yeah, is it possible that we can start going through the changes on the variance? What changes are you making?
Yes. So to item number 1, going in order of the public notice that was sent out,
Yes.
the permitted maximum building length was 17 meters. Our proposal was originally for 18.99. Our revised length is 17.77. So we brought that down by over a meter there. Item number 2, that's for building depth. We've actually removed this variance completely, so that variance is no longer required. Item number 3, with the revisions we've done to the building length, obviously that would affect our overall FSI. So originally we're allowed 0.35 times the area. Our initial application was for 0.62, and our revision brings it down to 0.55 times the area, which is equivalent to 299.85 square meters. And then lastly, item number 4, related to the platform area, we're permitted 4 square meters. Our initial proposal was for 13.08, and our new revised proposal, again, with the discussions we had with the neighbor and revising of everything, has brought it down to 10.79 square meters.
Okay, so just let me summarize. You've got item number 1,
Yep.
in terms of the length, which has now been reduced to 17.77 meters. Item number 2 has been removed. Item number 3, the floor space index has been reduced to 0.55 times the area. And item number 4, which is around the platform for the second story, is now being proposed at 10.79 meters squared, which is reduced. Are there any other changes or anything else you'd like to share in terms of a presentation or anything else on this application?
As I mentioned, I believe the person who's registered is mostly just confirming that these variances were done as per our conversations with them. But just like to point out that our FSI, since we have brought it down, is well within similar approvals in the neighborhood. We see approvals on Chatsworth itself with FSIs between 0.68 up to 0.78, and that's at 28, 78, and 111 Chatsworth. So clearly we're well below similar approvals on the street itself in that case. For our overall building length, we're quite close to the actual permitted. We're only over now by a little over 2.5 feet or 0.77 meters. And again, we're in line with other approvals on 28 Chatsworth that had a building length of 23.37 meters. So we've kind of done a lot of concessions here to get the neighbor on board. We've had extensive discussions revising the drawings multiple times to meet with the neighbors and get something that they would be happy with as well. As you can see with the letters of support, our client clearly did some outreach to talk to the neighbors and make sure everyone else would be okay with the application moving forward. Open any questions you might have at the moment.
Right. Now, I do see the 28 letters of support, and right now I'll turn it over to the members. Members, do you have any question for the agent? No questions at this time. So what we'll do is we'll move over to the next speaker to see if they have anything further to add. And can we get a Mary or Joe Conforti on the line? Mary or Joe Conforti?
Hello.
Yes, hello. Is this Joe Conforti?
Yes, it's
If you
Joe
could state
Conforti
your
speaking.
name and address, please, sir, for the record.
Joe Conforti. My wife Mary Conforti's on the line as well. We're at 86 Chatsworth Drive, Toronto. The agent's correct. We've had discussions based on the revised drawings. We have no objection to the approval. The second story is shorter than the length of the first story, but based on those drawings submitted on October 17th, where we have no objection.
Okay, so no objection based on the revisions that the agent has made here today. I'll ask members of the panel, do you have any questions for Mary or Joe Conforti today? There are no questions. So that being said, we'll bring it back to the agent. Is there any final considerations that you'd like to share with committee before we go into committee?
No, I believe the concessions we've made for the neighbors kind of speaks for itself. Clearly, you can see they're in line with the revised drawings we submitted, and I believe we've brought down the areas to very minor changes to the overall zoning bylaw in the neighborhood. So I think the application speaks for itself at this point. Open anything you might have questions about, but I think the application stands for itself.
Okay, and I'll ask the panel members, are there any additional questions of the agent? There being none, can I get a motion on this application? Ms. Member Attarodi?
Yes, to you, Madam Chair, I want to put forward a motion to approve this application with the revision that the applicant provided. Variance number 1, the proposed building length is now 17.77. Variance number 2, it's eliminated. Variance number 3, the floor space index is now 0.55 times. And variance number 4, the proposed area of the platform is now 10.79 square meter, and with no other condition.
Okay, we have a motion from Member Attarodi to approve this application with the revisions that she's just stated. Do I have someone to second this motion? And Member Manning is seconding this motion. All in favor? Unanimously, all approved. Sir, Mr. De Oliveira, your application has been approved with those conditions, those revisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, moving on to property, item number 3, property address is 61 Glen Long Avenue. And we do have an agent by the name of Marco Vieira. Mr. Vieira, are you there?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This is Marco Vieira. I'm at 257 Dunraven Drive, and I'm the agent for this application.
That's great, thank you. And this is a proposal to construct a new detached garage in the rear yard and existent dwelling. I do note that there is a transportation report of October 13th that has no objections, but there are conditions, and that there is one letter of objection from a Heather Moman, and I believe that she is also the speaker on the line. So with that being said, can you provide us with a short presentation about the merits of your application?
Through you, Madam Chair, certainly I can do that. So the proposal before you is to construct a new detached garage at the rear of the existing dwelling and basically extend the existing driveway to the rear door entrance garage. We're asking for 2 minor variances. The first is for a proposed driveway width of 5.1 meters, which is an existing condition. There are no proposed to the existing driveway, with the only exception that it is being extended back to the new location of the detached garage. Second variance is for a proposed floor area of 66.81 square meters, whereas 60 square meters is allowed. The additional proposed area will allow for additional storage within the garage without having any additional storage sheds or areas to store in the property. We are also aware of the letter received by the neighbor at the rear of our property. I had the pleasure of discussing our proposal with Heather yesterday in depth. We do propose a change, but change doesn't actually affect the variances. It's a proposal to move the garage 1 additional foot toward the back of our house, which will create a 2-foot buffer, 6 meters along the rear property line, which then my client will propose plant some evergreens along the back at garage. That is to soften visual impact of having the garage rear. This was a concern that the neighbor had expressed, and in my discussions with her yesterday, I just like this to be part of the minutes. The variances, but it hopefully provide the neighbor with solutions that we intend on relocating the garage and providing some visual green landscaping for her along the back.
Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, Mr. Vieira, so if you can keep your device steady and speak into it. But yeah, if you could summarize your presentation, that would be great.
So in summary, I believe the variances are minor. I believe if the garage towards our house will make the visual impact neighbor better position for her to continue to enjoy her property and her existing wood deck. I asked the committee to approve the application.
Okay, and are you okay with the transportation conditions to add a notation to the site plan drawing stating that all portions of existing access driveway that they're no longer required but must be closed and restored with soft landscaping and full concrete curbs?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So that being said, are there any questions from the members of the panel for Mr. Vieira? There being no questions, we'll move on to the next speaker, and that is an area resident who've sent in a letter of objection by the name of Heather Moman. Ms. Moman, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, please. It's Heather Moman, and my address is 67 Haven Road, Toronto.
And what are your thoughts on this application, Ms. Moman?
Well, initially, my concern is that I didn't realize that somebody could build that close to my property line across on a perpendicular lot. So I was finding that if my lot ran parallel, it wouldn't have made that big of a difference. But right now, what's happening is the building is essentially where there used to be 6 mature apple trees. There's going to be a 13-foot wall. So it was going to impact my my line of sight out my back door, or it's not my back door, but my deck doors, my sliding deck doors that run into my kitchen. And so that was my was that it was going to impact the light, and it was just going to throw me off every time I looked out the window, because we used to look at something that was so beautiful, and now it's going to be essentially a brick wall. Again, I guess the challenge is that it's a perpendicular, lot as opposed to a parallel lot. So that's what made the difference. So I was kind of surprised that the bylaws actually didn't account differently for that kind of a meeting of property lines, but apparently it does. So the only other thing that I did have a couple of other questions that I was wondering about, because I don't know much about building, is that I understand that it's going to be a flat roof, so it'll go straight up on all sides. But I just wanted to understand how the water flow is going to go off the roof, if there's going to be any impact to me from additional water coming onto my property. That was a question that I had out there is there, I don't know how it flows off, or if it flows off from a downspout that runs into somewhere else on their property, but my concern is that it will come off the back.
Right. A lot of these concerns with the water and how it gets distributed will also be inspected in the construction phase as well. So that's something to consider. But is there any other questions that you may have at this time around the actual variances that are part of the application?
Not at this time. I guess the only other question, and maybe I'll just ask the the architect is it looked like back on the Tuesday the 19th there was 3 variances that were noted, and it looks like the 3rd variance has now been eliminated or changed because of now there was an updated letter there that shows that there's only these 2 variances. And again, it's just a question. I just wanted to understand if that was changed or what that variance was and what it actually means and how it was changed.
Okay, well, it likely was eliminated, but what we'll do is we'll get back to the agent or applicant here today, and that is, Mr. Vera. And if you're able to provide, your thoughts on what Ms. Moment has said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for reassurance purposes, the garage has been designed with an overhang to the east and to the north. So there will be no downspouts along the back property line. The drainage of the water will go toward the east. With regards to the previous zoning review, we had a variance actually for a sill project. Top of the wall, we have a brick with approximately 2-foot siding. The examiner interpreted that as an encroachment to the side yard setback for the actual concrete. We clarified that with the examiner and with management and also planning. I'll agree that that shouldn't be a variance. It's similar to having a sill on a window on a side elevation, and that's not an encroachment onto the side yard setback. So that's why we currently have only the 2 variances as part of this application.
Okay, thank you for that. Members of the panel, do you have any questions of the agent at all? I didn't ask you if you had any questions of the speaker as well, Ms. Moment. So if you do, please let me know. Okay, there being no questions, then we do know that there is a transportation report of October 13th with some conditions, and there's no other speakers besides the one that just spoke and the concerns that she had. So can I get a motion on this application? Yes, Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application subject to the conditions of transportation. I've listened to the applicant submissions, and I believe these variances are indeed minor and meet the 4-part test.
Okay, thank you, Member Manning. We have a motion from Member Manning to approve this application subject to the October 13th transportation conditions. Can I have someone to second this motion? Member Atterodi seconds this motion. All in favor? Mr. Vera, your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Okay. Now we'll move on to item number 4, which is 389 Broadway Avenue. This is a proposal to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling. And we do have an agent. I'm getting that name now. It is Mr. Raman Sandhu. Mr. Sandhu, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
So this is Ramanpreet from Marvel Engineering. We are located at 48 Newbury Crescent, Brampton.
Okay, sorry, did you say is your name Mr. Sandhu? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
good.
it's Ramanpreet Sandhu.
All right,
yes.
Thank you very much. I note that there's no one else to speak to this application. There is a transport report of October 13th that has no objections. However, they had one condition that all portions of the existing site access driveways that are no longer required must be closed and restored with soft landscaping and full concrete curbs. Were you aware of that condition by transport?
Yes, ma'am, and we are happy to put that on the building permit application.
Okay, and you're okay with that. All right, at this time, because there's no other speakers, I'll ask the members of the panel, do you wish for a full presentation? Okay, there being none, do you have any questions of the agent? Okay, there's no other speaker. There's no other questions from the panel members. Sir, is there anything else you'd like to say before we take this into decision?
No, I think it's a pretty straightforward, very minor variances. Are there height variances from old bylaw with new bylaw? We are okay. So I think we are in pretty good shape. I'll leave it to you guys.
Okay, thank you for that. So, members, you've heard what the agent has to say. That being said, can I get a motion? And Member Kidd? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with the agent that these are, in fact, minor in nature, and I feel that they meet the 4 tests for minor variance. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application and make it subject to the condition of the transportation services that a notion on the site plan drawing stating that all portions of the existing site access driveways that are no longer required must be closed and restored with soft landscaping and full concrete curbs to the satisfaction of transportation services.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Member Kidd to approve this application with addition to the conditions of the transport report of October 13th. Can I have someone to second this? Member Attarodi seconds this. All in favor? Mr. Sandhu, your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions of transport. Thank you very much.
Thank you, committee members.
Okay. Moving on to item number 5. We've got the property address of 1709 to 1711 Bayview Avenue. This is a proposal for a rare addition and interior alterations to convert a commercial residential to commercial only for a medical office. Now, there are, we have the agent, Ida Evangelista, on the line.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ms. Evangelista.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owner of 1709, 1711 Bayview Avenue.
Thank you. I do note that there is a staff report of October 13th recommending modifications be made to the application, in that variance number 4, they're asking for it to be eliminated regarding the building setback from the center line of the lane. And then modification of also variance number 6 regarding the building setback from the lot line abutting to the lane of the opposite side of the lane from 5.57 meters to 5.78 meters. So will you be making those changes?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes. If you refer to page 3 of my submission, yes. You'll note that we did submit a latest site plan. We've made those changes. So that being said, variance number 4 is removed, as we have increased it to 3.5 meters.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And variance number 6, we have modified it to 5.78 meters.
Okay, so you've eliminated variance number 4, you've modified variance number 6. We do have to repeat it. That's why I asked you for the records. I also note that there is no forestry conditions. Heritage does have some conditions of October 20th. Transportation Services recommends deferral. And there is one letter of objection from the South Eglinton Davisville Residents Association. Now, there's no one here to speak to this application, but because of these various recommendations and from Transportation and Heritage, even though you've met the staff report, would you mind giving us a brief presentation that will specifically address those items as well?
Most definitely, Madam Chair. Along with that letter of opposition, there was also a letter that was submitted from the Bayview Leaside Business Improvement Area in support of this application, as they feel that this would be a great enhancement to the area, It will increase, will be very pedestrian friendly, and they're very much in support. So just to go over this particular application. So I did have conversation with staff of Heritage. Neil and I, we spoke at great length, and the intent here is to keep that second floor heritage value, which I've confirmed that we will be keeping that second floor heritage value. I did submit another front elevation, which shows that the two windows will remain. Nothing will change above the windows, and we will work together at building permit stage. So they're satisfied. They are okay with the interior alterations, the addition at the back and whatnot, because that is very consistent and characteristic to the neighborhood. Now, let's move on to parking. So we are deficient 3 parking spots. However, we have to keep in mind that this is Bayview Avenue. In my submission, I did include on page 5 and page 6, you'll see the neighborhood parking. Not only is there street parking with green pea parking, there's also many parking lots in the neighborhood. And with most recent, across the street, if you refer to my aerial view, you'll see that directly across the street, there's a new condominium project that has been erected that includes 32 retail parking spaces that is open. And the BIA, Mr. Zamet of BIA also stated that on his letter, that there are 32 paid retail and visitor parking spaces. So they've worked quite diligently to continue to keep the parking in the neighborhood. So with the greatest of respect, I don't agree with the transportation report, because I feel that there is, and this is a business that actually caters to the neighborhood. It's a very walkable area. We are, it's a mixed use that supports in this area. There is a lot of street and paid parking around. It's, very walkable. It reduces the dependency on auto trips. So I believe that we have the parking variance covered substantially. The other thing that I wanted to add is I know the lot coverage is approximately 10% more than what we're requesting. However, the second floor is cantilevered. So on the first floor, that first floor covers 57%. So
Ms.
the first floor is 57%
I'll ask
coverage.
you to summarize, please. Yeah.
Yes. So that being said, the application will result in no change to the physical character of the neighborhood, as what we're proposing is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. Furthermore, given the streetscape, it will not be uncharacteristic. It maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. We are just, squaring off the front glass. It's an existing front yard setback. We are not changing anything. And with this, Madam Chair and members, I respectfully submit that this application is gradual, will be a great use for the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Evangelista. There's no one else to speak to this application. I'll ask members of the panel if you have any questions for the agent. Yes, Member Kidd?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what's the current use of the building?
It used to be a flower shop, and right now the main floor, the front area, is being used as an optical, which is the current owner. But it was always used. It's been used for a flower shop, I believe, from the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions from members? Okay, there being no other questions and no other speakers, and just to reiterate that this application that the agent has made met the requirements of the staff report of October 13th by eliminating variance number 4 and modifying variance number 6 to 5.78 meters. Urban forestry does have conditions. Heritage does have an October 20th report with conditions or recommendations. And transportation, October 13th report recommends deferral. There is the objection letter on file from the South Eglinton Davisville Residents Association, but there's also a letter of support from the Business Association in that region as well. Can I get a motion on this application? Okay. Member Kidd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't, having listened to the agent, I can't see that there's a great change in use, the current use of this building, and as such, I think I would like to put forward a motion to accept the amended application. I'll just read the changes into the record here. To variance number 4 to be eliminated, and variance number 6, the building setback from the laneway to be changed to 5.78 meters. And I'd like to accept that the application as amended, subject to forestry conditions and subject to heritage condition that the prior to the issuance of the building permit drawings, including plans, elevations, and details, shall be submitted to the satisfaction of the senior manager of the heritage planning, urban design, and city planning. And that's set out in the report dated October 20, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Member Kidd, for your motion to approve this application with the modifications to variance number 4 and 6, as well as urban forestry, and tying it as well to the recommendations of the Heritage Report of October 20th. Do I have a seconder for this? Member Attarodi seconds it. All in favor? And anyone opposed? Member Manning opposes this application, dissenting. So your application.
Why?
So your application has been approved, Ms. Evangelista, with those conditions of the staff report, urban forestry, and heritage. Thank you. Did planning get that correct around the Member Manning dissenting, right? Just want to make sure that that's noted. And at this time, if we could pause for a few minutes, take a few minutes break. We do have the technician here who can help us with our audio issues. So we deeply apologize for the start of the day. If you can give us a few moments to fix this, and we can be right back on board with you. So see you soon, and we'll start again with application number 6. Thank you.
Two. Testing.
Two, 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 one, one, two, check. This one doesn't work either. Okay, so that's not a solution. Wait, is that still? Oh, no, it's. One, two, 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 check, check. One, one. Okay, so this.
You know?
Two. You're green, so.
Yes, and that means I'm on.
Yep.
You guys could hear me? We're good.
And hold on, let's just make sure. Oh, it's muted? Let's just make sure it's going to WebEx. Try it.
Okay, Miss Atarodi West, can you hear me? I'm in a fancy new headset. Give me a thumbs up. There we go. I'm not on camera yet, but at least I've got some audio. Amazing progress thanks to Superman Nick, who's come all the way from downtown to help us. Thank you.
So you have Superman there.
Okay.
Very. You see, I'm patiently waiting.
Patience is one of our biggest virtues, Madam Atarodi West. I'd like to invite Member Manning and Member Kidd back to the panel. We're about to get started again. Thank you, everyone. We're going to resume the session again, and we want to do a big thank you to Nick, who came all the way from downtown to give us a temporary solution, and I have a comfy chair now, so we're back. So let's begin again with item number 6, and thank you to all who've been waiting patiently in the public online. We really appreciate your understanding. So item number 6 is 281 Cornelius Parkway, and this is a proposal to construct a rare one-story sunroom addition. Now, the applicant that I have online here is the owner. The applicant is Kelly Yang Jin, representing James Weber and Purple Yip. Ms. Yang Jin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Thank you. If I could get your name and address for our records, please.
Sure. My name is Kelly Yang Jin. My address is 6 Rose Avenue in Toronto. I'm here to represent the owners of the property.
Right. I do note that they're online, but they're not going to speak to this application, so it's just you today. And Ms. Yang Jin, I did note that there is a staff report on this this application. It's the October 13th staff report recommending that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the north side elevation drawing and the site plan drawing. Are you okay with that? Did you have a chance to look at that?
Yes, I did review the staff report, and we are in agreement with the recommendation.
Okay, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the committee panel and ask, seeing that there's no one to speak to this application, it's just the one report. Do you need a presentation on this application? I'm not seeing anyone coming forward for that. So perhaps what I'll ask Ms. Yanjin, if you have any final thoughts or comments that you'd like to share with us before we go into committee for decision making, you can have a chance to do so now. Because there's no opposition, and we are aware we didn't receive any objections from the neighbors. The rare addition was proposed because it's less intrusive to the character of the existing house and the neighborhood. So we feel the 3 variances are minor in nature, and they are required in response to the constraints and of the existing site conditions. So we hope the committee will consider the constraints in terms of location of the existing house and the garage. I'm happy to respond to any questions. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Yanjin. Panel members, do we have any questions for Ms. Yanjin at this time? There being no questions,
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
James and Purple Yip are online. Can I just verify? Can I have the applicant verify that they do not want to speak? Okay. Or can we just take a moment to perhaps try and unmute them?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just double check that the 2 owners are online and they don't wish to speak. So there is a James Weber and Purple Yip. Are you there?
James Weber is online.
Purple Yip is online.
Purple Yip is online?
I have no...
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now you're the owners of the application, this application, and I'm just wondering if you can just confirm your address for us.
Yes. We live at 281 Cornelius Parkway.
Good.
That is correct.
Thank you. I wanted to know, is there anything else you'd like to say, or you're just simply listening in?
We are just listening in.
Okay, thank you. We just had to confirm that for our records, and thank you for that. So I'll take it back to committee. seeing that there's no one to speak to this application, it's just the one staff report with a recommendation. Can I get a motion from members? Ms. Member Atarodi West.
To you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application. I believe it's minor and past 4 tests with only one staff condition, that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the north side elevation drawings and the side plan drawings that's submitted to Committee of Adjustment Attachment 1 and 2 to the report. And that is my motion.
Thank you, Member Atarodi. Do I have someone to second Member Atarodi's motion? And Member Manning is seconding that motion. All in favor? This motion has been unanimously approved with condition of the staff report of October 13th. Thank you, Ms. Yanjin.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Moving on to item number 7, 392 St. Germain Avenue. The agent that we've got online here is Marin Zabzuni. Mr. Zabzuni, are you there?
Yes, this is Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zabzuni. I wanted to note that we do have, with this property, it's a proposal to demolish an existing dwelling and to build a new 3-story detached single-family dwelling. I note that transportation has no objections, but they do have some conditions to obtain a front yard parking permit, and if a permit cannot be granted, a variance is required for 0 parking on the site. Are you aware of that, Mr. Zabzuni?
Yes.
Are you
Yes,
okay
we
with
reviewed
that?
the transportation conditions and happy to comply with their conditions.
Okay, that's great. Now, it does seem that we do have someone else to speak on this application, and I note that it's via video, a Zanju Wang. So being that that person is online to speak, Mr. Zabzuni, can you give us a brief presentation of your the merits of your application?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So we're proposing a 3-story dwelling on this property, and I can go by each item to speak to them, starting with item 1, parking space location. So the proposed parking spot will be located in the front yard, whereas the bylaw states a parking space may not be located in a front yard or a side yard abutting a street. There are other dwellings in the neighborhood with this condition. Transportation Department has reviewed this variance, and they have stated that they have no objections in their report. Item 2 speaks to maximum building height. So the proposed maximum building height of the building is 10.55 meters, whereas the permitted maximum height is 10 meters. This variance is similar in nature to other approvals in the neighborhood, including 370 St. Germain at 10.81 meters and 394 Woburn Avenue at 11.44 meters. Something to mention is that the 3rd floor is inset from the front wall, which significantly reduces the impact of the massing from streetscape. We also made sure to have even the 1st floor or the whole entire building close to the ground just to minimize the impact as much as possible. So with that said, we do feel this is minor in nature and meets the existing surrounding build forms of the neighborhood. Item 3 is the main wall or maximum main wall side lot. The proposed maximum main wall height of walls facing a side lot line is 10.55 meters, while the maximum permitted is 7.5 meters. So this variance is common in Bedford Park neighborhood, as seen at 275 St. Germain Avenue at 9.46 meters and 218 Cranbrook Avenue at 9.17 meters. What you can see on the streetscape from this narrow lot is mostly the first 2 floors, 1st floor and 2nd floor, as the 3rd floor is inset from both front and back. So with that said, we do believe that reduces the massing and makes this variance more minor in nature. The proposed building depth, item number 4, it's 21.86 meters, where the maximum is 17 meters. It's important to note that all floors above grade comply with 17-meter building depth. This variance is only triggered due to the rear excavated deck. The proposed variance is also consistent with other approvals in the neighborhood, such as 98 Gray Road, at 20.79 meters and 357 Fairlawn Avenue at 20.52 meters. I believe this is more in nature and more technical due to the rear deck. Item 5, maximum floor space index. We are proposing 0.82 times the area of the lot, where the maximum is 0.60. The proposed variance is consistent with the neighborhood and other approvals in the area, such as 353 Saint Germain Avenue at 0.81 times the area, and 355 Saint Germain Avenue at 1.12 times the area.
Okay, I'll ask you to
Item
summarize,
6,
please, Mr. Zabzumi, if you can summarize.
Yeah, so the rest is pretty minor and pretty common in the neighborhood. There's a lot of built dwellings and a lot of new dwellings in development. So we have reviewed this. We also got 4 letters of support that we submitted yesterday. The owner spoke with neighbors and did provide that. This on the AIA application online. And we haven't received any concerns from planning as well. So overall, it seems as a positive kind of report. I'm happy to hear what the neighbor has to say, because we weren't aware that there was any concerned neighbors. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zabzumi. I note that I don't have those 4 letters of support, but planning is looking into it just to see if they found it. In the meantime, I'll ask committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Zabzumi? Okay, with no questions, let's move on to the speaker. There's only one speaker on either the telephone or video call, and I'm going to call this person's name. I believe it's Zanchu Wang. Zanchu Wang, are you there? Is Zanchu Wang there? Okay, so I believe staff is trying to locate Mr. or Miss Wang. And I do see now that we have the letters of support. You were right, Mr. Zabzuni. So those, if committee members can note that there were late letters of support that had been received, and it's 4 letters that came in. So please note that for your decision making, and also note the transportation conditions as well. I'll await some instruction.
Hi, Zenchu, you're unmuted right now.
Yeah, can you hear me? Or?
Yes, we hear you perfectly. Mr. Zanchu Wang, can you state again for the record your name and address, please?
Yeah, my name is Zanchu. I'm the current owner of 407 Saint Germain.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No problems. I think my wife registered me because our house is being built right now just across the street. I just like to be an audience today for this hearing. I don't have any objection whatsoever, but I'd like to make a comment that this neighborhood has been changed over. A lot of these minor variants shouldn't be any concern to me as a resident, because I like to see the neighborhoods growing. The house needs to be modernized, and as such, to cater for the growing family as well. And on the other hand, the lack of housing supply. So I'm happy to see more density increase, more GFA has been increased. So I don't want to take up everybody's time. I'm just curious to see, this application, and I'm here to support the this neighborhood to be build and growth to cater for the immigrant. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Wang. Committee members, do you have any questions of the speaker? There being none, Mr. Zabzumi, it's your lucky day. I think you've gotten now 5 members of support. So,
thank you. Yes.
Yeah. That being said, committee members, do you have any questions? Any final questions of Mr. Zabzumi? And I see Member Paul Kidd. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Zabzuni, I'm concerned about variance number 3. the maximum height of the exterior main walls. You're asking for a 3-meter variance in the wall height. Can you just give me a little more detail on how you justify? I noticed there's in that neighborhood there doesn't seem to be any 3-story buildings. I just have you? Can you point something or give me some sort of justification for going to 3 stories when 2 seems to be quite typical of the neighborhood?
I believe there is a few 3-story buildings here, and in terms of this wall height variance, it speaks to the side wall height. So this reduces the impact, given that it's a narrow lot, and you don't have that much view of the streetscape to see the wall height from the sides. In terms of for the front and even the back, the 3rd floor is indented in, pushed back from the 2-story portion. So from eye level, standing on the street, that's what will be the most predominant, is the 2-story portion. With that said, also we do have a sloped portion of the front and back on the 3rd floor to even reduce the impact further. So it feels more of a roof rather than a full story. And you can see this on the side elevation in terms of the front and back sloped areas for the 3rd floor. Again, planning didn't raise any concerns. There is quite a few new builds with similar heights, as mentioned before. For building height, there is even higher buildings than what we're proposing, such as 370 St. Germain Avenue at 10.81 meters, and we're proposing 10.55 for the maximum building height, and quite a few others. So I hope that explains that this speaks to the side main wall height, and it's on a narrow lot where it's a lot less noticeable. What we made sure to, and we've done this in other projects in the past and worked closely with planning and similar projects, where the front portion of the 3rd floor is jutted back and also has a sloped roof to even reduce the impact further, which pays mindfulness to the neighborhood and the impact and existing built forms in the area.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do any other panel members have any other questions for Mr. Zabzoumi? Okay, so that there being no other questions, can I get a motion from members? Yes, Member Atarodi.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I've been satisfied that this is a minor application, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one transportation condition, that they obtain a front yard parking permit, or if a permit cannot granted, a variance is required for 0 parking on the site.
Okay.
It's for the report dated October 13, 2022, and that's my motion.
Okay, thank you, Member Atarodi. Member Atarodi has put forward a motion to approve this application subject to transportation conditions. Anyone to second this motion? Member Manning seconds the motion. All in favor? Unanimously approved by all 3 members. Thank you so much, Mr. Zabzoumi. Your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, number 57, CAMWOOD Crescent. This is a proposal to construct a 1-story rear garage extension. I would like to call upon the agent, and there's only one speaker here today, and that is the agent, and that's Mr. Joe Dome. Mr. Dome, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Mr. Dome, if you can state your name and address for the records, please.
Yes, my name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Dome, I note that there is urban forestry conditions on this this application, and I do note that there's 3 letters of support. There's no one else noted to speak to this application. Members, do you feel that we need a presentation on this application? There being no need for a presentation, Mr. Dome, is there any final thoughts that you would like to share with members, if any at all?
I would just like to point out that the length variance only applies to the garage portion, and that there's a staggered, given the staggered length of the dwelling, it will only occupy a length of 11.3 meters on the garage side.
Okay, thank you for that. That being said, members, the application will be subject to urban forestry. With that in mind and no other speakers, can I get a motion? Member Manning with a motion.
Madam Chair, I think this is these are very minor variances. I'm putting forth a motion to approve this application, subject to the conditions of forestry.
Thank you so much. Member Manning with a motion to approve this application subject to forestry. Can I get someone to second that? Member Atarodi has seconded it. All those in favor? And this application has been unanimously approved. Mr. Dome, your application has been approved with conditions of forestry. And I believe you're up next as well for item number 9. And item number 9 is number 515 Balliol Street. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Balliol Street is a proposal to construct a 2-story rear addition, a rear deck, and to enclose an existing front porch. So just for the record, if you state your name and address one more time, just in case, we need that for the record.
Yes, again. My name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Thank you. Now, I do note, Mr. Dome, that we have an October 13th staff report recommending that a condition that the front yard setback be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing has been noted, and you do have 2 letters of support and 1 letter of objection. There is someone to speak to this application. So that being said, if you can give us a brief presentation on the merits of your application.
Yes. The owners would like to enclose their front porch and build a 2-story rear addition with rear deck to their home to address their family livability needs for an adequate entrance, family room, and master bedroom space. Their existing interior of the house is only 16 feet wide, and as a result of the front living room is only 9.5 feet wide, necessitating the need for a family room. And due to the existing lot and dwelling configuration, they have limited options for expanding. Now, variance number 1 and 3 deal with the east side yard setbacks for the rear deck and rear addition. I'd like to highlight that the requested side yard setbacks do maintain the setback of the existing dwelling. And furthermore, there is no length, height, or main wall height variances requested. The length, including the addition, would be 16.29 meters. Variance number 2 refers to the proposed front yard setback of 1.34 meters, and this is simply due to enclosing the existing front covered porch, while the front main walls of the house maintain the existing setback. Variances number 4 and 5 are existing conditions, and variance number 6 regarding the ancillary building distance is very minor with adequate space between. Planning, as you mentioned, has no concerns with the proposal, only attaching the condition that it be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan. The owner has had in-depth conversations with the neighbors. We have letters of support, as you mentioned again, from the adjacent neighbor at 511 as well as 528 Balliol. And the owner has also spoken with the condo corporation on the east side in regards to their concerns, of which there were 3 that were mentioned. Number 1 was the side yard setback, which I've already addressed, is maintaining the setback of the existing dwelling and does not require a length variance. Number 2 was regarding the foundation excavation for the addition, which is not applicable as there are posts proposed for the addition. Number 3 was pertaining to drainage, which will be addressed during the building permit process. And overall, we do feel the application is reasonable and minor in nature. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Members, do you have any questions of the agent? There being none, let's move on to the next speaker. And the next speaker on file is Miles Godfrey. Mr. Godfrey, are you there? Miles Godfrey, are you there?
Yes. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. If I could
Miles
get you to state your name and address just for the record, please.
Miles Godfrey, 525 Balliol Street.
That's great.
Unit
Mr.
1.
Godfrey,
So,
if we can hear your comments on this application, please.
okay, I'll just start this out by saying that there was no consultation with the owner until after the notice of meeting was received and until after we made our submission. So we have had conversations with the owner since the submission was made. So take that into consideration. In reviewing the original notice of meeting, our overall concern was the impact on sightlines from a two-story addition that basically will put a brick wall in the sightline of 2 more units down the west side of our complex. So that's kind of the starting point, but we recognize that we can't stop people from developing their property. We filed comments that were related to the setbacks, trying to keep the development as far away from the owners in our complex as possible. And as mentioned by Joe, the items that we dealt with were the building setback, the eaves setback, and the deck setback. And I guess the specific concerns that we had based on the documentation that was provided with the notice of meeting was the concern about a deep excavation so close to the lot line, and concerns about drainage and making sure the drainage that the drainage was not happening in between the properties and simply dumping water down on the patios on the west side of our complex.
Mr. Godfrey,
as Joe noted,
we don't address issues of drainage, but it will be inspected during construction. But if you have any other comments around the variances itself, that would be a very helpful importance.
Okay, so we'll take away the drainage question, and the excavation question has been taken away, because now, having seen the detailed drawings, this addition is being built on posts as opposed to with a full basement. So that's taken away the excavation issue. So I guess where I'm landing on this is that other things being equal, we would prefer to have as much distance away from our patios and minimizing the encroachment on the sight lines, but we recognize that this is a fairly minor variance.
Okay, thank you so much. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Godfrey at this time? There being none, then I'll take it right back to Mr. Dome. You've heard what the neighbor has said at 525 Balliol and worried about encroachment, etc. Would you care to provide a rebuttal on his concerns?
Yes, we do appreciate the comments provided by Mr. Godfrey, and regarding the setback, I think I addressed that earlier, that it's maintaining the existing setback. And regarding the sight lines, again, there's no length variance being requested. Yeah, that would be all the points there, and we really feel that this is quite reasonable.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dome. Members, do you have any final questions for Mr. Dome?
No.
There being... Oh, did Member Manning put her hand up? No, she did not. Okay, thank you. So there being no other questions, please note with this application that there is the staff report recommending that one condition, and there's a couple letters of support, and of course one letter of objection, as well as the concerns of the area resident who just spoke. Can I get a motion on this application? Yes, Member Manning, please go ahead.
For you, Madam Chair, I agree with the applicant that these are minor variances, especially considering that many of the variances are existing conditions. I will put forth the motion to approve this application, subject to the conditions of planning, which is tying the application to the site plan.
Okay, thank you, Member Manning. Motion to approve this application, and it is subject to the October 13th staff report. Can I get someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? Thank you. Mr. Dome, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to the October 13th staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now moving on to item number 10, the property address is number 64 Lionel Heights Crescent. And this is a proposal to construct an east side foyer addition, west side canopy addition, and a one-story garage extension. And on this application, we've got only one speaker, and that's the agent, Mr. Ghazal Qureshi. Mr. Qureshi, are you there?
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Ms. Qureshi, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My full name is Ghazal Qureshi, located at 2885 Bayview Avenue, Unit 901.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Qureshi, I don't see that there's anyone to speak to this application. There are a couple of reports on file. We've got an October 13th staff report that recommends a condition that the rear yard setback be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing. And I see you've got 8 strong letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Are you aware of the staff report, and is that okay for you?
Absolutely. We're aware of the report. We would be happy to add the note to the site plan and make sure that the setback is maintained during and after construction activity.
Okay, that's noted. Committee members, do you feel that you need a presentation on this application? There being no need for a presentation, Ms. Qureshi, is there anything else you'd like to say before the committee goes into decision making?
No, I would like to indicate the fact that it's a one-story extension only, and we would have the planning department with no objection. So I believe that it's minor in nature, and I would love to hear that it's approved.
Okay, thank you so much. That being said, committee members, can I get a motion, please? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I also believe it's very minor, and I want to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one staff condition, that the rear yard setback be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to the report dated October 13, 2022. That's my motion.
Okay, thank you. Motion from Member Attarodi to approve this application subject to the October 13th staff report and recommendation. Can I get someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? There you go. Ms. Qureshi, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to the October 13th staff report. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so very much, and have yourself a wonderful day.
You too. Okay, moving along to item number 11, and that's property 11 Silverton Avenue. And this is to construct a garage addition in the front and a rear corner pantry addition. And on this file, we've got just a new agent, and that is Mr. Sal Creamy. Mr. Creamy, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members, and Committee of Adjustment staff.
Okay, if you can give me your name and address for our records, please.
Sal Creamy, as stated, address 2572 Eglinton Avenue West.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Mr. Creamy, I noticed that there is no one else to speak to this application, and there are 0 reports on file. Is there... committee members, do you feel you need a presentation? Member Attarodi, would you like?
I just need, through you, Madam Chair, I just need an explanation regarding the variance number 1, lot coverage of 36.96%, and I would like to ask to know what is the existing lot coverage of the building before this additions.
Mr. Creamy, you've heard the question from Member Attarodi, if you can continue.
Yes, Member Attarodi. So per the previous decision on file, which you should have in your package, dated 2012 A811 12 NY, they were permitted 35%. and now it is being increased by 1.96. Do you want me to provide a brief presentation as to why that increase is taking place at this time?
Member Attarodi.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
She's.
I appreciate.
Yes.
I appreciate an explanation.
Yes. So as you can see, firstly out of the gate, we're trying to respect the current built form and character of the neighborhood. We're not proposing additions that are any further than the current projections of the existing property, and they are being restricted to the first floor for the garage and a 2-story at the rear corner, and that is for a pantry on the first floor and an addition to the master bedroom. The needs are being brought forward because of the increasing family size. Since the family did acquire the property, they've grown now to 7, with the youngest being 10 days old, and the oldest being 5. So the needs of the house are changing. They're trying to respect the neighborhood and the current built form by restricting the additions to the existing projections that are in place. And at the front, we have the porch, and at the rear, we have a modified rear main wall. It's now the predominant rear main wall because of the addition, but again, it was the furthest projection at the rear.
Thank you. Member Attarodi, does that address your questions and concerns?
Yes, thank you very much. And we have the other previous decision, and I take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other panel members for questions or comments? There being none, can I get a motion from the panel, please? Member Attarodi?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I would like to put, I'm satisfied with the answer, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with no condition.
Thank you. We have a motion from Member Attarodi to approve the application without condition. Can I have someone to second that motion? Member Manning seconds that motion. All in favor? Mr. Creamy, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Okay, moving on to item number 12. The property address is number 33 GLENGOWAN Road. This is to legalize the front yard parking space, and there's only one variance. There's no one else to speak to this application. I do note that there is a Toronto Region Conservation Authority report, as well as a ravine and natural features protection report and transportation report, and all of them have no conditions and no objections, and there's 7 letters of support. We've got no one else to speak to this application, and the agent on file is Mr. Saba Al-Mathno. Mr. Al-Mathno? Are you there? Agent Al-Mathno?
Hello?
Yes, oh.
Hi.
Thank you. Miss Al-Mathno, thank you. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Saba Al-Mathno from QBS Architects, Inc. Our address is 1670 Bayview Avenue, Suite 401.
Okay, thank you. I note that there's, as you know, several letters of coming in staff reports, but there's no objections, and you've got quite a bit of support here. Members, do you feel that we need a presentation on this file? Any questions or comments for the agent at this time? Okay, at this time, Ms. Al-Mathno, the members don't need a presentation and don't have any questions. Is there anything else you'd like to say, before they take this matter into consideration and for decision making?
No, thank you. I think it's an extremely minor variance and it's self-explanatory, and we have 7 letters of support, no objection from Transportation, Ravine, or TRCA, because we've been working with Ravine and TRCA for about a year now, and until we reach to this point. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Members, can I get a motion on this application? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I feel it's the requested variance is minor in nature. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Thank you. Motion from Member Kidd to accept the application without condition. Can I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by
Sorry,
Yes.
no, I just have a friendly just amendment for transportation report. If Mr. Kidd want to add that subjected to transportation. Oh no, sorry.
There's no
They
condition.
have no.
Yeah,
There's
there's no
no
condition.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
Madam Matarodi, are you seconding or is it Madam?
yes,
Okay.
seconded. Sorry for that. There's no objection.
Member Atarodi is seconding this motion. All in favor? And your motion has been, your application has been unanimously been approved without condition. Ms. Almathno, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to application number 13, that is 208 Old Yonge Street. 208 Old Yonge Street is a proposal for a one-story expansion at the rear of an existing single-family detached dwelling. There are 0 reports on file and there's no one else to speak to this application, but we do have an agent online, Mr. Shane Grossman. Mr. Grossman, are you there?
I am there, Madam Chair, and thank you everybody on the committee for hearing me today. I, along with my wife, am the homeowner and the address is 208 Old Yonge Street.
Thank you for that. Seeing that there's no one to speak to this application and no reports, I'm going to turn it over to committee members. Do you wish for a presentation? Do you have any questions? Seeing that there are no questions and no comments, Mr. Grossman, do you have anything to say before the committee takes this into decision making?
I do not. It's a very minor variance and happy that none of my neighbors are having any issues with this, and again, pass it to the committee for their approval, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. That being said, members, can I have a motion on this application? Member Atarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I also agree it's very minor and pass for test. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with no condition.
Okay, motion from Member Atarodi to approve this application without condition. Can I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved for 208 Yonge Street without condition. Mr. Grossman, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you to everybody for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Now, noting that item number 14 has been deferred earlier this morning, and we're moving now to item number 15. Turn your attention to 48 Bannatyne Drive. This is, Bannatyne Drive is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single-family detached home. And on file, I've got the agent, Mr. Hamid Behesht. Mr. Behesht, are you there?
Madam Chair, good afternoon, and thank you for pronouncing my last name so correctly.
Oh, good.
This is Hamid Behesht from Homeland, and I am the co-designer of the house from 49 Wycliffe Crescent.
Thank you, Mr. Behesht. Now, I do note that I've got a couple that would like to speak, and their area residents on this property.
I'm through Madam Chair. I've tried to contact that couple, and they're not currently on the call and haven't picked up.
Okay, they're not on the call. What would you like me to do? Stand this down while you try a little bit? So there's been attempts to email, to call, and there's been 0 response, and I'll leave it to...
I guess we could proceed with the application, because I've tried to contact them and have not been able to.
Good. So after several attempts of trying to reach this couple, I'll have committee members note that there's no one to speak to this application, and we will move forward with a decision on this application. There's a report from TRCA and RNFP, but there's no conditions and no objections. That being said, do you require, members, a presentation on this application? There's no request for a presentation or comments or questions to the agent at this time. So, Mr. Behesht, Before this goes into decision making, is there anything you'd like to share with us before we do so?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that. Then, committee members, can I get a motion on this application, please? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I'm satisfied that this is minor variance, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with no condition, because the TRC has just had no condition.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion from Member Attarodi for approving this application without condition. Can I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved. Mr. Behesht, thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, committee members, and committee staff.
Thank you. Moving on to application number 16. The property address is number 12 Chatfield Drive, and this is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling. There is one person on file to speak to this application, and the agent is Graham Barrett. Mr. Barrett, are you on the line, please?
Good afternoon, committee members, Madam Chair. Graham Barrett, SGL Planning and Design, 1547 Bloor Street West, agent for the owner, 12 Chatfield Drive.
Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Barrett, I note that there is a staff report of October 13th recommending that the building length be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing. Did you have a chance to see that, and are you okay with that?
Yes, I've read that staff report. I've also consulted with planning staff leading up to this meeting and ensured they had no concerns. So we were well aware that that condition was coming, and it's perfectly reasonable.
Great. Now, if you would provide us with a brief presentation. We've got an area resident on the line who'd like to speak to this application, and your time begins now.
Sure, I'll be as brief as possible. I know we're running behind schedule today. So as you mentioned, the proposal is to demolish the existing 1.5-story single-family dwelling and build a new 2-story single-family dwelling in its place. As I mentioned, planning staff have been consulted and have no concerns. I'd also like to note that I mailed out letters to the 10 nearest homes on Chatfield and Bradgate Road, providing a brief explanation of the proposal and offering to chat if there were any questions. And as of now, I've not heard from any neighbors, and there are none on the AIC. So I'm a little surprised that someone is on the line, but happy to answer any questions they may have. I have submitted a rather extensive planning rationale and cover letter for this file, which has been on the AIC now since October 7th. So it really goes through everything, and I don't really want to take up too much of your time, considering how behind we are today, but the 7 variances proposed are all quite minor in nature in the context of the site and the area. I've provided tables in that planning rationale outlining where we fit in the variances. Kind of starting on page 5, you'll see a map with a red line drawn, and that's our study area that we looked at to compare the variances for coverage and rear yard setback and building length and so on. And the charts are outlined on the following pages. So on page 6, you'll see we're quite far down the list in terms of lot coverage. There are comparable approvals on Chatfield, greater approvals on Chatfield, and in the immediate area. Same really goes for everything else. I don't want to get too bogged down in precedents here, so I provided it in this planning rationale. But the other variances, many of them are somewhat technical in nature due to the odd shape of this lot. And the rear yard setback, for instance, at 9.54 meters or 10.17 meters, that's only for one point of the home. The rest of the home complies. The same goes for the side yard setbacks. Most of the dwelling proposed complies with what's required. Just a couple of pinch points, really, that trigger these variances. The variances for height are old bylaw, old North York bylaw. There are no variances for height required under bylaw 569/2013. Established grade is quite low. On this site, if you take a look at the east elevation in the plans, you can see just what I'm talking about, how actually low subgrade is on this. This neighborhood's really seeing a great deal of change through new infill housing. There's a lot of newer, larger homes in the immediate area. I took a site visit, and I've supplied a bunch of images of newer dwellings in Appendix 1 of my planning rationale. So I believe what's being proposed here is sensitive to the neighborhood. It's really in keeping with the character of the area that is currently in the process of changing. And this stretch of Chatfield can certainly use a bit of an update. Beyond that, I believe it's in keeping with the intent of the official plan for a neighborhood's land use designation. The variances are minor, performance standards aren't being exceeded unreasonably. It's in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. I believe this proposal is appropriate. It's suitable for the use of the land. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from committee members? No questions at this time. Let's move on to the next speaker. And we've got a Cynthia Ridge on the line. Miss Ridge, are you there? Miss Ridge?
Hi, Cynthia, you're unmuted.
Miss Ridge, you are unmuted. If you can speak, please. Any direction from planning staff on next steps? Okay, so should I stand this one down? Let's wait a couple minutes, if you don't mind, while we get in contact with Cynthia Ridge.
Okay, Cynthia, do you want to speak?
Yes, my concerns.
Wait, Miss Ridge, Miss Cynthia Ridge.
Hold on.
One moment, please.
You'll need to give your name. You'll need to give
Cynthia
your name.
Ridge, 14 Chatfield.
Thank you very much. Miss Ridge, can you share your concerns about this application, please?
Yes, I guess my husband and I became concerned about the what was being done on the property, when in the summer we were told it was just going to be renovations on the inside of the house, and then we received the notice saying that the house was being taken down. So it hasn't been very transparent. Overall, we're sort of concerned about the size of the house, and I'm trying to get some information sorted out, and I've been trying to, call various groups, and I couldn't get any answers from the city. One of my concerns is the blockage of sunlight in my backyard, because I'm north of the house that's going to have the new extension, the new house, and it's going to extend, I would say, halfway into the backyard. So I am all of a sudden going to have a wall of a house in my backyard. So I'm concerned about sunlight. I'm concerned about being overlooked. I wanted to, I guess, get clarification on how they're handling runoff, which may not be covered by this committee, but I'm downhill from this property. Any runoff from that property comes on mine. If the footprint is smaller, it won't have the land to absorb the water, and it's going to end up on my property. And I can be, in the spring, I can be low and swampy. So I'm concerned about that. And then the final thing is that on the plans that I received, the plan from the city was missing one of the trees, and I can't get agreement between the city plan and the arborist report as to which trees are being removed. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Ridge. In terms of the water issues, that's not something that we may handle. And I know that in getting in touch with city staff, they can connect you with urban forestry, but there is no forestry condition on this application. But I'll take it back to Mr. Barrett right now. Mr. Barrett, you've heard the concerns from...
Madam Chair, we need to let the members, if they need to ask any questions.
My apologies. Members, do you have any questions of Ms. Ridge at this time? Seeing that there's no questions for you, Ms. Ridge, we'll take it back to Mr. Barrett. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, for that. And Mr. Barrett, you've heard the concerns of the area resident, and a lot of it also is around overlook and sunlight as well. Is there anything that you'd like to share?
I'm sure. I wish the neighbor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please proceed.
Thank you. Yes, I actually did mail a letter to number 14 Chatfield when I sent out information to other area residents, and would have been happy to have had a discussion about this prior to this meeting. I wish the neighborhood reached out. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But if you want to pull up the site plan from the drawing package, you'll see there's a fair bit of separation distance between these dwellings. I don't really foresee much of an impact on sunlight due to the side yard setback. You can see the 1.52 meter setback, which is only for that one portion of the home that juts out. And otherwise, 1.8 being required difference is negligible. There are a few private trees to be removed. I have to look at the arborist report again to see if they are bylaw protected, but that is something to look into. I really don't imagine there being a great deal of privacy concerns from this build on the neighboring home. There's quite a bit of separation distance between the two. I don't actually have the measurement on the site plan, but I would imagine it to be, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 meters between these dwellings. So, I mean, I don't particularly see a great deal of impact for this proposal on the neighboring dwelling.
Okay.
That north property line, the build form along the north side of the home jogs quite a bit. It's not going to be creating one large imposing wall along that line.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Barrett. Members, do you have any questions for the agent? There being none, can I get a motion on this application? Member Kidd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having listened to the concerns of the neighbors, I appreciate that. But when I look at the individually requested variances, they do seem to me to be fairly modest. And given the fact that there's no negative comments from planning staff, I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the application. I'm going to make it subject to the condition that the building length be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to the planning staff report dated October 13th, 2022.
Okay, motion from Member Kidd to approve this application with the condition of the October 13th staff report. Can I get someone to second that? Member Attarodi seconds it. All in favor? This application has been unanimously approved, Mr. Barrett, with condition of the October 13th staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Moving on to application number 17. Property address is number 98 POYNTZ Avenue, and this is a proposal for a rear addition. There are 0 reports on file for this application, And there is only the agent online to speak to this application, and Evan Abraham. Mr. Abraham, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Mr. Abraham, if you can speak only into one device and have one device on at a time so that we are able to hear you clearly. Please state your name and address for the records, please.
Evan Abraham, 111 Shepherd.
Mr. Abraham, I believe that you have two devices on, a phone and computer or something like that. Can you eliminate an additional device so that there's no feedback for us?
Give me just a minute.
We're still hearing that. Hoping you're not talking into a speakerphone.
Hi, Evan. I see that you're connected twice onto the call. Can you please connect one of your devices, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mr. Abraham. There's still a bit of echo, but if you can at least state your name and address for us, for the record.
Evan Abraham, 111 Shepherd Avenue West.
Okay, we're still having a lot of feedback. Did you disconnect the second item? We are showing here on screen that you are connected twice. It's just a note to all members and the public logging on. Please, this is why we ask for only one device to be logged in at a time, and it does help slow things down. So we want to make sure that we are moving efficiently through the proceedings today. Mr. Abraham, have you?
Yes.
You're still on only one device? It's showing in our system two. Are you on
I don't know how
perhaps
that happened.
a computer? Have you logged in twice at the same?
Mr. Abraham, can you please disconnect from the call completely and rejoin?
Okay.
And we'll move on to the next one and come back.
So what we'll do is we'll stand this item 17 down, and let's move committee members to item 18, and we'll return to item 17 in a moment. And this item 18 is the property address is 10 Elvaston Drive. And this is a proposal to convert garage and storage space into existing 3-story residential building into additional residential units consisting of 3 one-bedroom and 2 bachelor units. Now, there is someone else to speak to this application, but I believe that this person is also connected to the application itself as the architect. But committee members, there are reports of this, an October 13th staff report recommending conditions that the owner shall, let's just say 3 conditions. I'm sure you've had a moment to read all of that. And there is a transportation services report of October 13th recommending that the application be deferred. So right now I'm going to call online Adam Layton, who's the agent and the main speaker on this application.
Afternoon, is Adam
Yes.
Layton?
Thank you. Can I get your name and address, Mr. Layton, for the record?
It's Adam Layton from Evans Planning. Address is 9212 Yonge Street.
Thank you. And if you can continue to speak into the phone itself, just your voice sounds a little faint. So if you could speak a bit, yeah, that sounds better. Thank you. Now, Mr. Layton, I note that there's someone else to speak to this, but they're the architect. Are they still willing to speak on the item? Well, we'll check.
I believe if that is the architect, they are just here for information purposes.
Okay, I will check in with them. But I wanted to know if you've noted the staff report recommending the 3 conditions, as well as the transport report that says the item should be deferred.
I would actually direct the committee. There was an updated transportation report circulated yesterday, dated October 19th, which has removed the request for deferral and has concluded that there are no objections. We worked with staff quite closely to revise not the provision of parking, but just the assignment of the overall parking on the property. So whereas previously there was a total of 24 spaces, 21 of which were for residents and 3 of which were for visitors, now the site plan statistics have been revised to be 20 resident spaces and 4 visitor spaces. And on that basis, transportation staff did provide an updated report.
Okay, I'm going to be checking with planning staff in the meantime to see if that was a report that was provided in our records. We don't have it yet, committee members, but we are checking right now to see if that was indeed received. In the meantime, what about the October 13th staff report, sir?
Yes, we have reviewed. We have no issues with those proposed conditions.
Okay, so while staff is actually checking for this, they've put it up online. And if you can scroll through, they're saying here, revised comments from transport. And then the conclusions saying, based on the above, the transport has no objections to the proposed minor variance. So just letting committee members know that. I will turn to committee members just to ask if you feel that you require a full presentation or questions on this application. There is a speaker. But this, yes.
I appreciate a quick presentation.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Attarodi. Mr. Layton, even though the other speaker is just the architect for this, we require a presentation for the benefit of the members. You have 5 minutes.
Certainly. I have submitted a slide deck. If I could have staff pull that up, it is quite brief. There we go. Excellent. So we are here today to speak about 10 Elvaston Drive. The second slide, which is application A054422NY. The slide shows the subject property in context. It's at the corner of Elvaston Drive and Victoria Park Avenue. It currently supports an existing 3-story apartment building with access from Elvaston. If I could go to the next slide. You'll see this is the existing site plan. So there's a surface parking area along the western property line, and then 9 internal garages within the existing building. If we go to the next slide, this shows the proposed site plan, and I've tried to highlight all the changes that have been made to the site plan. So generally what we are seeking to do is convert the 9 existing garages as well as the existing locker and mechanical room into additional apartment dwellings. This is a rental building, so we would be adding to the supply for the community. And in doing so, we would be reorganizing the parking layout, adding a few more parking spaces, providing a little more landscaping across the site, providing a new common amenity area. That's the one of the areas that the conditions from planning staff speak to about providing a barbecue. There would be new private amenity space for those units within the garages. That would be for their exclusive use. And there would be a new waste enclosure area relocated on site, as well as additional bike parking. If we move to the next slide, this focuses more on the nature of the variances required. Variance 1 has to do with the landscaping on the property. We are actually increasing the provision of landscaping, but by and large, this reflects the existing condition of the site. Variance 2 speaks to the required landscape buffer adjacent to a residential use. In this condition, the existing condition, there is no buffer. We are not changing that, so we're merely recognizing the condition as it exists. Condition 3 speaks to the maximum floor space index, and this is more of a technical variance. The garages and mechanical rooms would not currently be classified as gross floor area under the zoning bylaw. Converting them to residential use converts them to gross floor area. So there is no change to the overall mass of the building or any of the setbacks. It is, again, merely a technical increase because of the change of use of the internal floor space. And then finally, variances 4, 5, and 6 regarding the parking spaces have to do with the fact that we are removing internal parking spaces and putting them exterior. One of the variance 4 speaks to a requirement for internal parking spaces, which we are not providing. Variances 5 and 6 speak to resident and visitor parking as well as accessible parking respectively. But in noting the revised report from transportation staff, they are satisfied with the provision of parking that is being provided. And I believe the next slide does show the proposed floor plans. So this would be, sorry, this is the existing lower floor plan. And if we go to the next slide, it shows the proposed lower floor plan. So the areas highlighted in orange are those areas which are technically new gross floor area. And subject to any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Layton. Members, do you have any questions or comments for this application and the presentation? I see no questions, and what I'll do is I'll just check in with the speaker, who is the architect, to see if they do wish to speak to this application, if anything. Is there a Paolo Pavetta on the line? Paolo Pavetta. Mr. Pavetta, are you there?
Mr. Pavetta, you're unmuted.
Hello.
Hi there, Mr. Pavetta. Can I get your name and
Hello.
address, please? Yes, we can hear you very
Yes,
well.
Paulo. Yes, thank you. Paulo Pavetta, Global Architect, 6 Leswin Road, Toronto.
Great. I wanted to know if there's anything you'd like to say to this application. I do know that you're the architect, and Mr. Layton has already spoken about it, but is there anything additionally that you'd like to say?
No, there's nothing else I'd like to add.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of this speaker? There being no questions, I'll take it back to Mr. Layton, who's the main speaker. Sir, is there anything final that you'd like to say before we go into committee for decision making?
Nope. I'm happy to answer any questions if they arise, though. Thank you.
Right. And committee members, one last chance. Any other questions of Mr. Layton? And with that, I'll ask for a motion from the panel, please. And just to note, before you make the motion, that there is a staff report of October 13th, of which there are 3 conditions for which the agent has said he is quite happy to do. And the transport services no longer has a deferral. In fact, they have no objections as per the latest report that was sent in yesterday. Can I get a motion, please? A motion from Ms. Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I've been convinced that this is minor, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only 3 staff conditions: that the owner shall construct and maintain a 25 square meter outdoor amenity space containing a barbecue in accordance with the attached site plan drawing listed as attachment number 1 of this report. Number 2, the owner shall construct and maintain a new laundry room containing at least 2 washing machine and 2 drying machine in accordance with the attached basement floor plan listed as attachment number 2 of this report. And number 3, that the rear patio and landscape area be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan and patio section drawing listed as attachment 1 and 3 to this report. I also would like to just read this last comment from the staff, which is that the staff recommend that the owner construct a 1.2 meter high wood privacy fence and 1.2 planting area to act as a buffer between the dwelling units and parking area, substantial accordance with attachment number 1 site plan drawing and 3 patio section drawing. And that's my motion, and because the transportation have no objection. Okay. That is the motion.
Thank you, Member Attarodi, for that, an approval on the floor with conditions from the October 13th staff report. Can I get someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Mr. Layton, your application has been unanimously approved with those conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you and have a pleasant day.
You too. Now moving back to item number 17 that was held down due to audio issues. Let's get Mr. Evan Abraham back on the line. Mr. Abraham, are you there?
Good afternoon, yes.
Thank you. That sounds much better. Mr. Abraham, you are at number 98 POYNTZ Avenue, and this is a proposal for a rare addition with 0 reports, and there is no one else to speak to this application. I'm just going to turn to committee members and ask, do you need a presentation on this application? Are any questions at all? And if there's none, I see none right now. Mr. Abraham, seeing that there's no other speakers and the committee does not require any presentation at this time and have no further questions, is there anything you'd like to tell us before we take this matter into committee for decision making?
I respectfully submit that variance is very minor and there is no negative impact on the neighborhood whatsoever.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, you've heard that. Can I get a motion? Motion from Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree that the requested variance is minor in nature and put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Motion from Member Kidd to accept the application without condition. Can I have someone to second that? Seconded by Member Atarodi. All those in favor? Mr. Abraham, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Member.
Thank you. Members, can we move now to application number 19? The property address is 727 GLENGROVE Avenue. GLENGROVE Avenue. This is a proposal to demolish a one-story dwelling and construct a two-story dwelling. And on the line, we've got just one speaker. That's the agent, Mr. Pamir Rafiq. Mr. Rafiq, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Can you give me your full name and address, please, for our records?
Pamir Rafiq, Lucid Homes. The address is 443 Highside Drive in Milton.
Thank you. Mr. Rafiq, I note that there is an urban forestry report or condition for this property, this application, sorry, and there's one letter of objection. There's no one else to speak to this application. I'm going to turn it over to committee members. Do you have any questions or do you feel that you need a presentation on this application? With no questions and no request for presentation, Mr. Rafiq, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with us before we take this into decision making?
If I can just take a very quick minute, because there was some a situation with let's say miscommunication about the letter that was sent in to all the neighbors, which showed 4 variances, which was actually incorrect. So there was a disconnect somewhere, but it was luckily rectified within a few days, and an updated letter was sent to all the neighbors. So so my assumption is that the letter of letter of complaint was probably based on the 4 variances when really it was 2. So hopefully that was received by everybody. And then I just wanted to point out one other thing. I know there was no request for presentation, so I just wanted to quickly just point out that we're dealing with a corner lot. There's 4 properties, which are probably 5 houses max away from this one, which have houses that are larger than the current, that are longer than the current house. We're addressing the massing of the house. The height is met by zoning bylaw. The lot coverage is met. It's just about the length of the building. And there's 4 properties that are corner lots, which are longer than this one in the immediate neighborhood. And then there's 2 more properties, which were approved last month and the previous month, which have 20.33 meters and 24.77 meters. The latter being more than 4 meters longer than our property. I have all the addresses too. I don't think it's important to share those, but I leave it at that. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Yes, well, let's see what committee says. Committee members, the letter of objection may have been based on the 4 variances of the original application. It's now been reduced to 2 variances. So the agent seemed to think there's a concern, and he discussed around the corner lot uniqueness of this property. Do you have any questions for this agent? There being none, then let's take this matter into committee. Can I get a motion, please? Motion from Member Atarodi.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I've been convinced that this is a very straightforward application and very minor, and since it's corner lot, it explained the depth and length. So therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application as subjected to urban forestry, ma'am.
Motion from Member Attarodi to approve this application subject to forestry. Can I get someone to second this? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Sir, Mr. Rafiq, your application has been unanimously approved subject to forestry. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
thank you. We're on to the last listed item, but we do have one more item to deal with after this one. And this is item number 20. The property address is 112 WOBURN Avenue. So we've got, this application is to replace the existing 1-car garage with a 2-car garage. We only have one speaker on file, and that is a Shen Shu Zhang, and there's no reports on file. Mr. Zhang, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Can you state your name and address for our records, please?
Yeah, my name is Shen Shu Zhang, architect and the agent for the application.
Thank you. I note that there is no reports on file. Seems like a straightforward application, but I'm going to ask committee members, do you need a presentation or any questions for Mr. Zhang at this time? There being none, Mr. Zhang, there's no need for a presentation, nor do the committee members have questions. Is there anything you'd like to say finally before we take this into decision making?
No. No.
No
Thank
other
you.
questions? Thank you so much. So I'll move it over to committee for decision making. Can I get a motion, please, on this application? Motion from Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel this is requested variance is minor, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without.
Okay. Motion from Member Kidd to accept the application without condition. Can I get someone to second that? Member Attarodi seconds it. All in favor? Your application, Mr. Zhang, has been unanimously approved. Thank you, without condition.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Now, members, before we actually take a short break, I would like to ask you to deliberate on a matter of a refund request. No, at the very end. Okay, at the very end. Sorry. So we'll put that to the very end of the entire hearing. Okay. So at this time, I'm just looking towards staff as well as members. We're at 2:04 right now, and we do have a PM session starting. I wondered if you wanted a shorter break, or do you need a longer break? I'm looking at 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Between all of you, please let me know what your thoughts are. The Deputy Secretary Treasurer seems to be in favor of a 30-minute break. Is that okay with everyone? Or does anyone need longer? Do you need longer? Please let me know. Okay. Thank you so much. So we will be back here within 30 minutes, so at 2:35 p.m. to start the afternoon session. Those joining us at the afternoon session, we're very sorry. We've had some technical difficulties that took us a little overboard today. So we appreciate your patience, and we'll get back to you soon. Thank you.